What is going on, everyone? This is Luke from South Beach Sports and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have my complete 2021 Miami Heat season preview for you guys. I will be breaking down who I think will be the two biggest surprises, who I think will be the most disappointing player, who I think will be the most improved player, and finally, who I think will be the Miami Heat team MVP. I'll also be going over some of my team predictions for the Heat. I'll go over their projected record, where I think they'll finish in the playoffs, and their expected rotation. So the two players that I think will surprise the most this year will be Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, who were the two-way players last season for the Heat. In the case of Gabe Vincent, I'm unsure about what his role will be on the Heat. I expected him to be a rotational player, but in the dress rehearsal preseason game against the Boston Celtics, he didn't receive rotational minutes, so I'm unsure if he will be a spot minute kind of guy or an every night rotational guy, but in whichever role that he ends up playing, I expect his performances to be much better from last season. One area of his game that I expect to be a lot more improved is his shooting efficiency. He shot 38% from the field and 31% from three last season, despite having very solid shot mechanics. So I expect Vincent, as he's more comfortable in the Heat system, to improve his percentages. The most notable area of Vincent's game is his defense. He's a very tenacious and aggressive defender. He always dives on the floor for loose balls, and I expect him to have that same hunger this season. One area of Vincent's game that looked really good in the preseason and looked very improved from last season is his ability to get to the basket. I think Vincent, just given how the Heat's strength and conditioning program is, will look a lot quicker this season and will be able to get to the basket a lot more effectively to attempt layups, floaters, or to kick the ball out for open shooters. The next player that I want to talk about, who I expect to have a very good season and a season that will surprise a lot of people, is Max Strus, who, along with Gabe Vincent, like I already said, was a two-way player for the Heat last season. Strus is known as a shooter. He is a phenomenal shooter, and he really didn't show this consistently last season. He only shot 34% from three, and like I said with Vincent, I expect Strus's percentages from three to skyrocket as a result of being in the Heat system, being more comfortable within the NBA, and just getting a feel for defenses a little more effectively. We saw Strus in the Summer League and in preseason shoot the ball absolutely tremendously. We also saw one area of Strus's game in the Summer League which I didn't really expect him to have, and that's his shot creation ability. And while I don't expect him to be a James Harden isolation type player for the Heat this season, he's definitely shown the potential to at least get into some of his pull-ups, get into some step backs, and offer a little bit more versatility on offense than someone like a Duncan Robinson, for example. On defense, Strus isn't the most physically gifted or athletically gifted defender, but he's a hustler. He tries, and he shows a lot of energy on the defensive end. The player on the Miami Heat who I think will be the most improved this season is none other than Tyler Herro, who during the preseason looked absolutely tremendous. He looked stronger, he looked quicker, he looked more athletic, and that's just a testament to the hard worker that he is. It was reported during the offseason that he gained a whopping 10 pounds of muscle, and that added strength and quickness will help him both on the offensive and defensive end. On the offensive end, he will be a lot more effective at driving to the basket, finishing with contact, and drawing fouls, as that was a weakness of his during his first two seasons. And on the defensive end, he'll be able to stay with quicker guards a lot more effectively. And from a strength perspective, he won't get bodied as much as he was getting. He'll be able to handle his own a little bit more on switches when he's facing a lot bigger and stronger players. And overall, I think we'll see a much different Tyler Herro this season. He also looks much more refined from a skill set perspective. Especially on pick and rolls, he looks very patient. He makes very good decisions. And one bad habit of Herro's last season and in his first season is that he would always reject ball screens, and defenders know this. Defenders can read this, and he got ripped a lot of times on ball screens because he would reject the screen without even reading it. And when facing off against a smart defender, he would get the ball taken away from him literally every single time. So Herro has adjusted this, and he's a lot more patient, and he's able to read ball screens a lot more effectively. I think Herro will benefit from playing with such a great point guard such as Kyle Lowry. We saw a lot of Lowry-Herro minutes in the preseason, and Herro looked fantastic during those minutes. We'll also see Herro be the main ball handler and the main playmaker during the Heat's bench units. He won't be sharing playmaking duties with Goran Dragic anymore. He'll be the main ball handler, at least until Victor Oladipo gets back, and I think that will present Hero with a lot of growth opportunities. Now, the most disappointing player for the Miami Heat this season, in my opinion, will be Omer Yurtseven. And I don't think it will even be a factor of him underperforming. I think it will just be him not receiving as many minutes as a lot of fans seem to think he'll receive. Yurtseven was fantastic in the Summer League. He showed a lot of promise in that league. He also looked good in the preseason at times. But for those of you who are projecting Yurtseven to receive solid rotational minutes throughout the season are going to be very disappointed. Yurtseven is very good at spacing the floor. He's a 7-foot big who can just kill you in the pick and roll game, in the pick and pop game. He's also very effective in the low post game. He's able to get into his hook shot. He has a nice post fade. On the defensive end, he's a very solid rim protector. He has good instincts. And lastly of all, which is probably his best attribute, is that he's a fantastic rebounder. The main reason why Yurtseven won't receive that many minutes this season has to do with his lack of experience against NBA quality big men. One of the main things that he did in the Summer League, which he did so well, was his ability to physically dominate players in the low post. He would just absolutely obliterate the 6'7" and 6'8" centers that he would face off against, and he won't really see that in the NBA. In the NBA, he'll be facing off against centers such as Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, centers who are strong, physical, and who, frankly, Yurtseven isn't ready to play against. So I think there will be an adjustment period for him. On the defensive end, I would consider Yurtseven more of a liability than a strength. In the pick and roll game, Yurtseven is a little clumsy and slow on drop coverages, and obviously he would be a complete liability on switches, given how slow his lateral quickness is. As for the team MVP and team defense player of the year award winner, I have Bam Adebayo, who I think will take an absolutely massive leap this season. I easily could have put Bam Adebayo in the most improved player award winning category, but I decided not to. I didn't want to put Adebayo in multiple categories, so I decided to just put him here. But I think the area of Adebayo's game that he will improve the most in will be his scoring, and not necessarily in the way that you probably think. Some Heat fans are all of a sudden expecting Adebayo to turn into this Kevin Durant-like 3-level scorer where he's going to shoot 3 to 5 3-pointers a game and add a 23-24 foot step back jump shot into his arsenal, when in actuality that's pretty unrealistic. I think at best we'll see Adebayo start to shoot corner 3-pointers somewhat consistently, but even then that might be a stretch. I think as far as Bam Adebayo and shooting, he'll turn into a very consistent mid-range jump shooter and take the jump shots that he wasn't taking last year in the playoffs. So I think that is a solid improvement for him. The biggest area of Adebayo's scoring game and his scoring arsenal that I think will improve the most is his transition scoring, which really wasn't talked about enough last season. I think Adebayo looked pretty unconfident and pretty weak in the transition game. He really didn't look strong while taking it to the basket or confident whatsoever. The only players that looked actually confident while attacking the basket in transition last year were Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic. Bam Adebayo was not one of those players, and I think that'll change this season, especially with the addition of Kyle Lowry, who will be able to feed Bam Adebayo so many great looks in transition, and I think he'll just become more aggressive in that facet of his game. Lowry will also be able to feed Adebayo with a lot of great looks in the half-court sets, especially in the pick and roll game. Adebayo is such a great roller, and Lowry is such a great ball handler in pick and roll sets. So I think those two will provide the Heat with an absolutely lethal combo. We also saw in the preseason Adebayo was used a lot differently than when he was used last season. If you guys remember, Adebayo was pretty much used as the jump starter of the offense. He was the main facilitator, and this season his role has changed. His role is a lot more scoring oriented. The main facilitating role has obviously turned towards Kyle Lowry, and we've seen some very interesting sets directed for Bam Adebayo. My favorite set, what I've seen from Adebayo, was in the Celtics game. He was actually used as the primary ball handler in a pick and roll set, Jimmy Butler passed him the ball and then set him a ball screen. Adebayo rolled off of that and hit Butler with a bounce pass as Butler was rolling to the basket. And that was a very interesting set that I really haven't seen from the Heat and Adebayo before. I called for a set like that in a video I made a long time ago, similar to what the Raptors use Pascal Siakam for. Siakam is often used as a ball handler in pick and roll sets, and I would love to see the Heat use Adebayo in that similar fashion. On defense, there's really not much to say. I don't think we'll see some massive leap from Adebayo on defense because there's not really a massive leap for him to take. He's already, in my opinion, the best defender in the NBA, and he will without a doubt be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, not only for the Heat, but in the entire NBA. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to be relatively quick, but I want to go over what I think the Heat's projected rotation will be throughout this season, talk about their record prediction, their playoff prediction, and what else do we have in here? That's it. Rotation, season prediction, playoff prediction. So for their projected rotation, I think everyone knows what the starting lineup is going to look like. We have a starting lineup of Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. I think the first 4 players off the bench is also pretty clear. I have Tyler Hero, Max Strus, Markieff Morris, and Dwayne Dedmon as the 6th through 9th men off the bench. And I think also we'll have players such as Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent receiving pretty consistent spot minutes and rotational minutes if any of the first 9 players get hurt. And then at the end of the bench, we have KZ Okpala, Marcus Garrett, Nomer Yurtseven. All of those players have shown potential, whether in the NBA or in the Summer League or in preseason. And I am most curious to see if Marcus Garrett will receive some spot minutes. Garrett is a sensational defender, and while he's not offering you much on offense, he is a very, very good defender who I think will provide the Heat with some possible big-time stops if he's provided the opportunity. I'm also curious to see if KZ Okpala can just pick it up. You know, I mean, the development of Okpala has been very disappointing so far. I think we expected Okpala to at least show some sort of aggression on offense in the Summer League, and we did not see that at all. We've seen pretty much the same type of player from him through his first 3 seasons. He looks promising as a defender. He's shown a lot of potential guarding guards. He's able to use his length very well, but on the offensive end, it's just a total wash. He has pretty much delegated himself to being a spot-up 3-point shooter, and he is not that good of a 3-point shooter. So the project of Okpala has not looked promising so far. Let's finish off this video by giving a record prediction and playoff prediction for the Miami Heat. Record prediction, I have the Heat finishing 3rd place in the Eastern Conference behind the Bucks and the Nets with a record of 51-31. I think the Heat will be a solid regular season team, but I don't think they have the necessary offensive firepower to win anywhere close to 60 games. In the playoffs, I have the Heat actually defeating the Nets in a 7-game series in the 2nd round. I think that series will come down to coaching, and Eric Spoelstra is a much more superior coach than Steve Nash. So I think the Heat will end up winning that series in 6 to 7 games. But unfortunately, I do have the Heat losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like always, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification bell so you do not miss a single video. Also, go ahead and comment down below one prediction you have for the Miami Heat this season. It could be a player prediction, it could be a season prediction, or it could be a playoff prediction. I just want to hear your thoughts on the Heat in the comments. I also might start doing some live stream post-game shows after some of the Heat's regular season games. And if that interests you, and if that's something that you think you'll end up watching, go ahead and comment down below if you enjoyed that idea. I'll have guests on, it'll be a good time. So I just want to hear your thoughts about it before I actually start doing it. But anyways, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you later. Peace.